Okay? So again, if we take this very serious, we drop knowledge, not classes. Thank you all. I think there was a question and answer session. Okay. Doc, you need to get ready because I think they're going to have some questions. I think we're moving into a question and answer session. So Dr. Mackey is, yes, sir. No, we're just waiting on questions now.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming. Great talk. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate the message that you sent us. But one thing that I've seen that I think as an African American community, we can look even within this campus and look at other people to emulate. And as a grad student, one thing I've noticed is the Asian community, all those things that you mentioned, they do that to the T. You know, they come from, foreign, they come from their homes and they come over here. They never come here by themselves. There's always, somebody else, from their home institution, from that country, that takes them under their wing. Same thing you're saying, don't take this professor. I always wonder, how is it that, they're coming from a foreign country and they're more comfortable here. And I'm an African American coming from the South, and there's nobody, I feel lost when I'm here. And yet they come here and they're completely at ease. They're almost like, they're back where they came from. So, I feel like the points that you made are spot on. When we come here, we need someone or some institution, some organization saying, hey.
What's your name?
Matthew Davis.
Matthew, all I'm going to ask you to do is to look in the mirror and you be the one. I agree with everything you're saying. I'm just saying there comes a time, and Carter G. Woodson, the father of black history, wrote a book called Miseducation of the Negro. He said this: real education means to inspire people to live more abundantly, to begin with life as they find it, then to make it better. But the instructions thus far given most Negroes in colleges and universities work to the contrary. In many cases, we simply complain about these situations without offering a solution. You know the solution. You have openly complained. Now I'm asking you to be the change. And I put that on every one of you who is listening. This situation is too serious for none of us to understand how to fix it. And just go ahead and do it. Doc, you got something to add to that? Yes, sister.
How do you motivate a group of people? I mean, it's really easy to motivate people here because we all obviously are looking for the change, looking for the transition. How do you motivate those who may not even know they need it, may feel like they can do it on their own? What do you do there?
Because see, Doc, help me, Doc.
You go first, Carl.
Shit, I don't know, man. Because, see, I almost think it's impossible to motivate somebody that don't want to be motivated. You got, look, I take my lesson from the last slave ship that ever came to America. And the Africans, I'm not going to go through the whole story, but the premise of the story is that once a year, those Africans would go to the river when the river was at its highest peak, raging, and everybody jumped in. Mothers took newborn babies and threw them in the river. If the baby did not struggle, they let him drown. If the baby struggled, everybody jumped in to save. If you don't show me no signs of struggle, shit, I can't motivate you. But I think clearly education is the key. If you know that the government is, or somebody is constantly putting liquor stores in our community, not educating our people, teachers are infiltrating our schools and they're not qualified to teach math and science. If you know that that's the problem, because I would say this, change does not come from the elder. The older we get, the less likely we are to change. Change does not come from youth. Change does not come from educated. Change comes from young, educated, and aware young people. If you got all three of those, you are more likely to institute change than if you did not have the awareness of your situation. So the first thing, if I am trying to get you to change, I need to educate you, just like these numbers I'm giving you. I mean, you think about that. In the entire United States of America, we graduate just a little bit more than 3,000 undergrads in engineering. That's horrific. And yet 10,000 come in. So for me, it's at least trying to make you aware. Doc?
Well, I want to say this. There's something called a catfish effect. And there's a story, I always deal with animals, but there's a story about Norwegian fishermen. And a Norwegian fisherman loves sardines. And they go out and they're the greatest sardine fishermen in the world. And they get paid top dollars for the sardines that they bring back alive. But the problem is it's very difficult to keep the sardines alive once they bring them in. But there was one fisherman that somehow perfected the way of keeping his sardines alive. And every year, like 95% of his sardines arrive alive. Everybody else returned 5% alive. This guy got rich over his life, but he would never disclose why his sardines stayed alive. Well, when he died, he passed on a secret. And the secret was that he realized that if you take a tank full of sardines and you put a catfish in it, them catfish should do whatever they got to do to survive to stay away from that catfish. And when he would come in, with the catfish swimming around in his tank, he'd have a tank of live catfish. A tank of live sardines. We're the sardines. And no one is deciding to be the catfish. We're DOA. We are dead on arrival. But when we were in the school, everybody we saw was a catfish. And we wasn't going to allow them to kill us. So we stayed up, like peers say, we did what was necessary. When Brother Mack said put a cot in the room, we had a cot in the room. There was many a days we walked out of our room. We would study all night, girls, boys together. We would get up and go to the test, dirty. They laugh, with sweatpants on, hair undone. And I see girls like, you ugly this morning, you're going to look good on Friday, but we're going to pass this test. Because they had catfish among us. They had catfish in a building who was trying to kill us. And we did what we had to do what? Stay alive. But right now, we're settling with DOA, dead on arrival. If I make it, I make it, but if I don't, so be it.
And it's about hunger. Just like now, you heard in the bio that there were 28 students from St. Lucia that we brought up to the United States. In St. Lucia, in the country of St. Lucia. And St. Lucia is a young nation, 31, 32 years old. Less than 7% of the young people go on to college. So when I came there offering scholarships, we offered 50 scholarships, and we made the announcement. Now, St. Lucia is a country of 150, 160,000. When we made the announcement that we had 50 scholarships that we were giving away, there were like 250, 300 students applied in one day. I'm not sure that for the $500,000 in scholarships that the National Society of Black Engineers give away in a year that we get that many applications. Why? Because they're hungry for it. Strong desire. Same way when our people first came out of slavery in this country. We knew we had a thirst and a desire for education. That's why we did so much better. Athletes, Paul Robeson's they don't exist today. Paul Robeson was an academician. The man was a brilliant scholar, but he was a phenomenal, phenomenal athlete. Go read your history. Charles Drew. All of the great black scientists were also tremendous athletes. That is a rarity. That's like a unicorn today. Right? Right? Yes.
I just have to say one more thing relative to your question. There's one certainty on this campus. Math, physics, and chemistry will bring the day of reckoning to anybody who thinks they got it together.
Right.
And so they may not be ready to come today or tomorrow. It won't be very long before I think they're going to be a little more willing to pay attention.
Yeah. Anybody? Chicken's good, ain't it, baby? Okay. All right, so listen, the only thing I need is this. I just need a nod of the head that you understood what we're talking about today. Okay?
I don't think they understand, but they don't have another question. They don't understand.
Bro, that's why I had to ask that question. Yes.
but as students you talk about, we have to do the change. So what would you recommend for students to, I guess, encourage? So I was also the president of my chapter. How
Right.
would you think, like, create workshops and I guess feedback workshops and stuff?
Right.
What else would you say?
Summer Bridge.
I
You know,
think maybe a program like that.
clearly, students, before they come here, I think it should be mandatory because the statistics are showing that kids that participate in Summer Bridge, their retention rate is higher, academic performance is higher. So I would almost make it mandatory that students that have come here to study engineering go into the Summer Bridge program. The other thing is you got to put your ego aside. You're coming from your high school thinking, I was a math whiz, I was this, I was that. They give you a math placement exam and they tell you, look, you might need to start with college algebra. And oh, hell no, look. You know, I graduated cum laude and summa laude and that. Man, look, I'm going into calculus. Look, it may take you 46 years to get out of here. Moving back and not taking calculus that first year, it might be all right for you. Get you adjusted, you know, the whole environment of college. So many students probably are not quite ready. So to take a college algebra course probably isn't a bad idea. But it's things like that. And again, move away from trying to handle this by yourself and get into that group setting. So clearly the Summer Bridge is something that I would strongly, strongly encourage for every student coming, regardless. I mean, right now, you know, Clarkson University is having a discussion about making Summer Bridge mandatory for all of their students, especially when it comes to engineering. So those are some of the things that...
I just want to give you an example, because whenever I hear that word qualified, I was a college professor for 12 years. For 12 years. And my first class ever was fluid mechanics. And a young kid came in and I started teaching, he raised his hand. And he asked me, did I think I was qualified to teach him fluid mechanics? Told him I didn't know. I said, you know, I had gotten a PhD from Georgia Tech, and I didn't know, but I asked him, was he qualified to pass a test that I was going to make? He said he didn't know. And I proved to him he didn't know. You heard about the 3 doctors who made the pact to be doctors, and they brought them to Michigan to speak. I'm going to tell you about three other young men. It was me, my 2 buddies. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, in inner city. My buddy was from Warrenton, Georgia. My other buddy was from Liberty, Miami. I started college in remedial reading and developmental mathematics. My buddy Lewis started in developmental reading, developmental math. Jimmy started in developmental reading and calculus.
Doc, let's stop 1 second. Do you understand what he just said? What level of reading?
No, I was remedial. I was humbled quickly. I couldn't even conjugate the verb to be. It was I, we, be, you, be, all us be up in there. But between us right now, we got 13 STEM degrees. I'm going to say that again. 3 black men from the inner city. Lewis was from rural Georgia, 1 red light. School only went up to algebra. I started in remedial reading, developmental math. He started in developmental math and developmental reading. Jimmy started in calculus. Jimmy tight. And developmental reading. And between us right now, we have 13 STEM degrees. 13. I have 2 undergrads, a master's, and a PhD. Jimmy has 3 undergrads, 2 masters, and a PhD. Lou has 2 undergrads and a master's and just decided not to get his PhD because he has started a company. In the eyes of many colleges, especially like Michigan, we would have been what? Unqualified. But in our eyes, we were qualified. We was hungry and we was committed and we stuck together and we showed the world what you can do.
Mm-hmm. And that's the part that is missing. It is desire, the hunger, and the commitment. Those things you cannot separate. Same thing, me being at Mississippi State. I was one phone call away. I had my drafting board. That's when we had mechanical drafting. You had a drawing board and a T-square and triangles, right? I had all that in all my books on top of that drawing board, about to throw it out the window, and just decided for whatever reason, let me just call home, knowing my mother's usually at work. God was perfect because my mother was at home that day, and all she said to me was, baby, look, if you want to come home, mama gonna still love you. But we done paid for this semester, so you might as well stick it out.